My name is Dorothy Mae Washington, and I'm 64 years old, and I'm sitting in a Memphis courtroom watching my firstborn son, Marcus, in an orange jumpsuit while the judge reads charges that include elder abuse, fraud, and filing false police reports. 6 months ago, I thought I was losing my mind to dementia, but it turns out I was just losing my son to greed. But first, where are you watching from today? Memphis? Atlanta? Detroit? Drop your city in the comments below, because what happened to me is happening to somebody's mama right now in your neighborhood, and maybe my story can help save them. The first time the police pulled me over, I was coming from Kroger with a trunk full of groceries I'd bought with coupons I'd spent 3 hours clipping. The officer approached my window real careful-like, hand on his weapon, and I'm thinking maybe my tail light's out again. Ma'am, step out of the vehicle, please. This car was reported stolen 45 minutes ago. My hands started shaking so bad I couldn't unbuckle my seatbelt. That was my late husband Earl's 2018 Buick LaCrosse, the last thing he bought before the cancer took him, and I'd been driving it for 3 years since he passed. Officer, this is my car. My husband left it to me. I got the registration right here in the glove box. But even as he ran my license and confirmed everything was in order, even as he apologized for the confusion, something cold settled in my stomach. The report had been filed by Marcus Washington, my son. When I called Marcus from that Kroger parking lot, my hands still trembling, he answered on the third ring like nothing was wrong. Hey, Mama, what's going on? I told him about the police stop, about his name on the report, and there was this pause before he said, Mama, we talked about this yesterday, remember? You called me confused about whose car you were driving. I told you it was yours. Are you feeling okay? Have you been taking your medication? The thing is, I hadn't called him yesterday. I keep a little notebook where I write down everyone I call because the phone bill got too high one month and I needed to track my minutes. Marcus's name wasn't in there for 3 days. Baby, I didn't call you yesterday. Another pause. Mama, this is what I'm talking about. You're forgetting things. Sheila and I are worried about you. Let me tell you something about my boy Marcus. I raised him in a 2-bedroom apartment in Orange Mound when it was rough, and I mean rough. His daddy left when Marcus was 6, talking about he couldn't handle the responsibility, and I worked 3 jobs to keep us afloat. I was cleaning office buildings at night, working the cafeteria at Hamilton Middle School during the day, and selling my sweet potato pies on weekends. There were nights I came home and my feet were so swollen, I had to soak them in Epsom salt just to get my shoes off for the next day. Marcus would be doing his homework at the kitchen table, and I'd help him with his math, even though my eyes were crossing from exhaustion. I wanted better for him, you understand? I wanted him to never know what it felt like to count change for gas, or pretend you're not hungry so your child can have seconds. The second time the police pulled me over, I was leaving Wednesday night Bible study. Sister Patrice saw the whole thing from the church parking lot, saw them make me stand outside my car while they searched it, saw me crying when they finally let me go. This time the report said I was driving erratically, that I was a danger to society due to severe dementia. The officer, a young brother named Williams, looked embarrassed. Ma'am, I apologize, but we have to respond to these reports. Maybe you should talk to your son about this confusion. That's when I started keeping more than just a notebook. I started keeping evidence. You see, after Earl passed, he left me a good life insurance policy from his 30 years on the Memphis police force. Nothing fancy, but enough that I could pay off the house and have something left for emergencies. Marcus and his wife Sheila lived in a big house in Germantown, drove matching BMWs, took vacations to Cancun and Jamaica. They'd come for Sunday dinner, and Sheila would look around my kitchen with her nose turned up just a little, like she smelled something bad. Mother Washington, she'd say, because she never called me Mama or Miss Dorothy like she was raised to do, you really should update this kitchen. It's so dated. This from a woman whose mama still lived in a trailer in Horn Lake, Mississippi. The third police stop happened at the bank. I was in the drive-thru depositing my Social Security check when they surrounded my car like I was some kind of criminal. 4 police cars, lights flashing, folks coming out of the bank to stare. The report said I'd stolen the car from my son's driveway that morning while experiencing a dementia episode. But here's the thing. Marcus lived 15 miles away in Germantown, and I hadn't been to his house in 2 months because Sheila said I upset the children with my confusion. What confusion? I could tell you every grandchild's birthday, middle name, favorite food, and shoe size. I could recite the Lord's Prayer forward and backward. I could balance my checkbook down to the penny, and I did every single month. That's when Ray Ray called me, Chief Raymond Colson, but he'd always be Ray Ray to me, Earl's partner for 15 years before Earl made detective. Dorothy, something ain't right with these reports. Can you come by the station tomorrow? I sat in his office looking at 7 different police reports filed over 3 months, each one painting me as more and more incompetent. Subject believes it's 1995. Subject cannot remember that her husband is deceased. Subject threatened imaginary people in the grocery store. Ray Ray leaned back in his chair, his face serious. Dot, in all my years knowing you, you've never been nothing but sharp as a tack. These reports are being filed electronically, never in person, and they're always filed when you're heading somewhere important. The bank, the lawyer's office, the insurance company. That night, I sat at my kitchen table with all those reports spread out like a map of betrayal. I called my daughter Keisha in Dallas, and she answered with worry in her voice. Mama, Marcus called me. He says you're getting worse. He sent me videos of you acting confused. What videos? I hadn't seen Marcus in 3 weeks. He says you don't remember things, that you called him crying about Daddy being missing. I hadn't cried about Earl in front of anybody since the funeral. I grieved my husband in private, in the quiet moments before dawn when I reached for him and found empty space. Keisha, baby, you know me. When have I ever been confused about anything? But I could hear the doubt in her silence. The next Sunday, Marcus and Sheila came to dinner like nothing was wrong. I'd made all Marcus's favorites, fried chicken, collard greens with ham hocks, cornbread, and sweet potato pie. I watched them eat my food while planning to put me away. Sheila kept checking her phone, and when she went to the bathroom, she left it on the table. The screen lit up with a text from her sister. Did you get the paperwork from the memory care place? I took a picture with my phone real quick before she came back. Later, while they were leaving, Marcus hugged me and said, Mama, we need to talk about your future soon. You can't keep living alone like this. I hugged him back, smelling the cologne I'd bought him for Christmas, and wondered when my baby boy became a stranger. Ray Ray had an idea. Let's put GPS trackers in your stuff. Your car, your purse, your coat. Everything gets tracked and sent to my personal phone. Next time they file a false report, we'll have proof of where you really were. The trackers were tiny things, no bigger than a quarter. We also set up a recording app on my phone that would automatically save everything to the cloud. Dot, we're going to catch them, but you need to be careful. People do dangerous things when money's involved. He didn't have to tell me twice. I'd started locking my bedroom door at night, something I never done in my own home. The family meeting happened 2 weeks later. Marcus called it an intervention, had everybody meet at Sheila's mother's house because he said neutral ground would be better. Keisha flew in from Dallas, and my youngest boy, Jerome, drove up from Jackson. They sat me in a chair in the middle of the living room like I was on trial. Sheila had brochures spread out on the coffee table. Memphis Memory Care Center, Peaceful Pines Senior Living, Garden View Assisted Living. Mother Washington, it's for your own good. You're a danger to yourself and others. $8,000 a month for the cheapest one. Marcus had already filled out the applications, had power of attorney. Paperwork ready for me to sign. Mama, Keisha said, and she was crying. Marcus showed us the police reports. 7 times, Mama. You've been pulled over 7 times for stealing your own car. You don't remember any of it. I looked at my children, these babies I'd carried and birthed and raised, and I saw strangers looking back at me. Only Jerome wouldn't meet my eyes, just stared at his hands folded in his lap. After everything I sacrificed for y'all, after all the nights I went hungry so you could eat, after walking to work in the snow because I gave you bus money, this is how you repay me? Sheila pulled out her laptop then, showed them all a video. It was me in my kitchen, talking to someone who wasn't there, except I recognized that day. I'd been on the phone with my sister in Chicago, using my Bluetooth earpiece Earl had bought me so I could cook and talk at the same time. They'd edited out my side of the conversation to make me look crazy. This was last Tuesday, Sheila lied, smooth as butter. She was talking to her dead husband for an hour. I wanted to scream, wanted to shake them all, but I kept my peace. The Lord says vengeance is his, but he also says the truth will set you free. What would you have done in that moment? Would you have fought back right then? Would you have cried? I did neither. I signed nothing, said I needed time to think, and I left that house with my head held high. But in my car, I broke down and cried so hard I couldn't see to drive. I called Ray from the parking lot of a Walgreens, and he talked me through it. We got them, Dot. My GPS shows you were at Bible study when they claim you were driving through Arkansas. We got time-stamped footage from the church security cameras. Don't give up now. The real evidence came by accident. I'd gone to Marcus's house to drop off his birthday card. I still loved my son, even if he was breaking my heart. And Sheila was on the patio, laptop open, talking on the phone. The window was cracked, and I could hear everything. Once we get power of attorney, we can sell the house. It's worth at least $300,000 in this market. Plus, there's Earl's pension, the life insurance she hasn't touched, about $400,000 total. The old bat won't last 6 months in that home anyway. She laughed then, ugly and sharp. Marcus feels bad, but I told him she had a good run. 70 is already past life expectancy for black women anyway. I was 64 years old. I recorded it all on my phone, standing there in my own son's driveway listening to his wife plan my death. She went on to describe how they'd already been taking money from my accounts using the debit cards they'd reported stolen, how they'd forged my signature on insurance documents, how the doctor whose name was on my supposed dementia diagnosis had been dead for 2 years. My sister works at the memory care place. She'll make sure the old lady gets extra medication to keep her quiet. That's when I knew this wasn't just about money. This was about murder, slow and legal, making sure I died looking crazy so nobody would ask questions. I thought about all the elders in nursing homes, drugged and forgotten, their families counting inheritance money while they wasted away. Not me, not Dorothy Mae Washington. I drove straight to Ray's office and we called Detective Monica Hayes from the Elder Abuse Division. Mrs. Washington, what they're doing is attempted murder by paperwork. We're going to stop them. The evidence was overwhelming once we started looking. Marcus and Sheila had stolen $47,000 over 18 months. They'd opened credit cards in my name, took out loans against my house, filed insurance claims for accidents that never happened. The paper trail led back to Sheila's computer, her fingerprints on forged documents, her sister at the memory care facility, already preparing a room for me with notes about aggressive dementia requiring sedation. They'd even had a funeral home picked out, with instructions for cremation so there couldn't be an autopsy. Easter Sunday came bright and beautiful. The church decorated in white lilies, everybody in their finest clothes. Marcus and Sheila sat in their usual spot, third row center, Sheila wearing a hat that cost more than my monthly groceries. I'd asked Pastor Williams for time to testify, told him it was important. When he called me up, I stood at that podium looking out at 500 faces I'd known for 40 years. Church, I need to tell y'all something. The devil's been busy in my house, and he's been wearing familiar faces. I started from the beginning, my voice steady even though my hands shook. I told them about the police stops, the false reports, the attempted institutionalization. Then I played the recording from Sheila's patio conversation, her voice filling the sanctuary through the speakers. The old bat won't last 6 months in that home anyway. The congregation gasped. Marcus jumped up, his face twisted with rage. Mama, you're confused. This is exactly what we were talking about. But then Ray stood up in his dress uniform and Detective Hayes beside him. No, sir. She's not confused. Marcus Washington, you're under arrest for elder abuse, fraud, and filing false police reports. The church erupted. Sheila tried to run but was blocked by the ushers. Marcus kept screaming about me being crazy, about this being a setup, even as they put him in handcuffs. Keisha collapsed in her pew, sobbing and reaching for me, finally understanding what she'd almost been part of. Jerome stood up and spoke for the first time in months. I knew, Mama. I knew something was wrong, but Sheila said you'd already forgotten who I was, said it would be cruel to visit you when you didn't remember me. Sister Patrice and the church mothers surrounded me, holding me up when my knees went weak. The whole thing was on Facebook Live because the youth ministry streamed services, and it went viral before the police cars even left the parking lot. The news picked it up that afternoon. Memphis son arrested for gaslighting mother into fake dementia. By evening, it was on CNN. My phone rang off the hook with reporters, other families with similar stories, lawyers offering to help. But I sat in my kitchen that night, looking at pictures of Marcus as a baby, as a boy, as a young man graduating college, and I grieved. I grieved the son I'd raised, the one who used to bring me dandelions and call them flowers, who wrote me poems for Mother's Day, who promised he'd always take care of me. The trial was swift. Marcus got 5 years but only served 18 months before being transferred to a psychiatric facility. Turns out, Sheila had been manipulating him too, feeding him lies about my mental state, showing him edited videos, making him believe I was dangerous. Not that it excuses what he did, but it helped me understand. Sheila got 3 years for conspiracy and fraud. They divorced while both in custody, fighting over who was more to blame. I recovered $31,000 of the stolen money, enough to pay off the fake debts they'd created. The house was saved, Earl's pension untouched. But you know what hurt the most? It wasn't the money, or the lies, or even the betrayal. It was knowing that my son looked at me and saw dollar signs instead of his mama. It was Sheila calling me the old bat, like I wasn't the woman who'd welcomed her into my family, taught her how to make Marcus's favorite foods, held her hand when she miscarried their first baby. It was my other children believing I could forget who they were when they're written on my heart deeper than any memory could fade. I started a support group at church called Dorothy's Defenders. We meet every month, sharing stories, watching for signs, protecting each other. You'd be surprised how many of us there are. Mothers, fathers, grandparents whose own blood turned against them for money. We teach each other about technology, about recording apps and GPS trackers, about keeping evidence and knowing our rights. Ray comes to speak, and Detective Hayes trains us on what to look for. We're an army of elders who refuse to be victims. Marcus sends letters from the psychiatric facility. I don't open them, but I don't throw them away either. Maybe one day I'll be ready, but not yet. Keisha moved to Memphis to be closer, and we're rebuilding slowly. She helps me with the support group, tells her story about almost losing her mother to lies. Jerome calls every Sunday, drives up once a month for dinner. He's in therapy, dealing with the guilt of staying silent. I forgave him. He was scared too. I still drive Earl's Buick, the one they reported stolen 7 times. Ray installed a dash cam that records everything, uploads to the cloud automatically. I keep my GPS tracker active, my recording app ready. Not because I'm paranoid, but because I'm prepared. The world's got too many Sheilas in it. Too many people who see the elderly as easy targets, who think our age makes us weak. They're wrong. We survived things that would break them. We raised children, buried husbands, worked jobs that don't exist anymore. We're not victims. We're warriors with gray hair and hard-won wisdom. If you're watching this and somebody's making you doubt your own mind, making you question your memories, making you feel crazy, trust yourself. Start documenting everything. Tell somebody you trust. Don't sign nothing without a lawyer reading it first. And remember, the people who really love you don't need your money to stay close. They just need you. Where are you watching from today? Comment your city below, and if you've seen this evil in your own family, share your story. We're stronger together than apart. The truth always comes to light, even when folks try to bury it under paperwork and lies. What happened to me is happening right now to somebody's mama, daddy, grandparent. Share this video. You might save someone's life, because that's what it is. Saving lives. These ain't just scams. They're attempted murder by bureaucracy, killing us slowly with forms and facilities and medication we don't need. Like this video if it touched your heart, comment if you've got a similar story, and subscribe because I'm going to keep telling these truths until every elder is protected. Remember, you're not crazy, you're not a burden, and you're definitely not alone. God bless, and I'll see y'all in the next story.